Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming at you live and direct today from Black Facts Headquarters Central with our last installment from the autobiography of none other than Malcolm X. El Haj Malik El Shabazz, if you will, Detroit Red, if you will, Malcolm Little, if you will, the man with a plan. Didn't get to enact his plan fully, but he stood as a man and did what he had to do back in his day. And that's a lesson we can all take right to the bank. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and do our due diligence. You know, the first thing we need to do is remind everybody out there to go ahead and give us a like if you haven't done that yet and you're watching on Facebook. If you're on the YouTube, make sure to give us a thumbs up. Last but not least, go ahead and spread the word through the land about the man with the plan. That would be moi, Doc Ock, right here at noon and 9. Meanwhile, let's go ahead and read a proverb for today. Let's see what we come up with for today. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Here we go. This is one perfect for today. Okay. Let's see what we got here. A cow gave birth to a fire. She wanted to lick it, but it burned. She wanted to leave it, but she could not because it was her own child. Now that's a deep proverb. I'm going to read it again. A cow gave birth to a fire. She wanted to lick it, but it burned. She wanted to leave it, but she could not because it was her own child. We'll talk more about that on our evening show. Okay? So return at 9, and we'll tell you a little bit more about how this particular proverb right here applies in the life of Malcolm X and his progeny. And this proverb here is from, I bet you it's from, it looks like it's from Ethiopia again. I don't know why I keep coming back to the Ethiopian proverbs. It's like there's more Ethiopian proverbs in here than anything else. And of course, I was right. It's definitely an Ethiopian proverb. And I'm going to mark the page that it's on so I can return to it this evening because that one was a good one. A cow gave birth to a fire. She wanted to lick it, but it burned. She wanted to leave it, but she couldn't because it was her own. That's a deep proverb right there. Deep proverb. All right. So we're going to go ahead and well, you know what? This last chapter we read, chapter 4, trying to decide whether I should read this one or read from this other book. Well, let's go ahead and finish this off. I'm not going to be able to read all of chapter 5, but I'll read some of as much of chapter 5 as I can today. And then I've got a special installment in here about something else that happened during the very merry month of May, which sometimes is not as merry as we would like it to be. So let's go ahead and get on with the getting on, get our slideshow up in here, operating fully. Should be here in a minute. There we go. All right, we'll get this running here. Just uno segundo. Yeah. All right. Now, where'd it go? Right there. Boom. All right. Now we're ready. Got your good, oh, name of the chapter, Harlemite. Got your good ham and cheese sandwiches, coffee, candy, cake, ice cream, rocking all along the tracks in the coach aisles of the New York, New Haven, and Hartford's Yankee Clipper. Old Man Roundtree, an elderly Pullman porter and a friend of Ella's, had recommended the railroad job for me. He had told her the war was snatching away railroad men so fast that if I could pass for 21, he could get me on. Ella wanted to get me out of Boston and away from Sophia. You know who I'm talking about? That woman. She would have loved nothing better than to have seen me like one of those Negroes who were already thronging Roxbury in the Army's khaki and thick shoes, home on leave from boot camp. But my age of 16 stopped all that action. I went along with the railroad job for my own reasons. For a long time, oh, that's what I forgot. I knew I was having a problem. There we go. For a long time, I'd wanted to visit New York City. Since I had been in Roxbury, I'd heard a lot about the Big Apple, the Big Apple, the Big Apple. I went along with that gig so I could check out the Big Apple, as it was called by the well-traveled musicians, merchant mariners, salesmen, chauffeurs for white families, and various kinds of hustlers I ran into. Even as far back as Lansing, I had been hearing about how fabulous New York was, and especially Harlem, USA. In fact, my father had described Harlem with pride and showed us pictures of the huge parades by the Harlem followers of Marcus Garvey. That's right. And every time Joe Louis won a fight against a white opponent, big front page pictures in the Negro newspapers such as the Chicago Defender, the Pittsburgh Courier, and the Afro-American showed a sea of Harlem Negroes cheering and waving, and the brown bomber waving back at him from the balcony of Harlem's Teresa Hotel. That's right, the Teresa. Everything I'd ever heard about New York City was exciting. Things like Broadway's bright lights and the Savoy Ballroom and Apollo Theater in Harlem, where great bands played and famous songs and dance steps and Negro stars originated. But you couldn't just pick up and go to visit New York from Lansing or Boston or anywhere else, not without some cash money. So I'd never really given too much thought to getting to New York until the free way to travel there came in the form of Ella's talk with Old Man Roundtree, who was a member of Ella's church. What Ella didn't know, of course, was that I would continue to see Sophia. Sophia could get away only a few nights a week. She said when I told her about the train job that she'd get away every night I got back into Boston, and this would mean every other night if I got the run I wanted. Sophia didn't want me to leave at all, but she believed I was draft age already and thought the train job would keep me out of the Army. Shorty thought it would be a great chance for me. He was worried sick himself about the draft call that he knew was soon to come. Like hundreds of the black ghetto's young men, he was taking some stuff that it was said would make your heart sound defective to the draft board's doctors. Shorty felt about the war the same way I and most ghetto Negroes did. Whitey owns everything. He wants us to go and bleed for him. Let him fight. Anyway, at the railroad personnel hiring office down on Dover Street, a tired-acting old white clerk got down to the crucial point when I came to sign up. age little? When I told him 21, he never lifted his eyes from his pencil. I knew I had the job. I was promised the first available Boston to New York fourth cook job, but for a while I worked there in the Dover street yard helping to load food requisitions onto the trains. Fourth cook, I knew, was just a glorified name for dishwasher, but it wouldn't be my first time, and just as long as I traveled where I wanted, it didn't make any difference to me. Temporarily, though, they put me on the colonial run that ran to Washington, D.C. The kitchen crew, headed by a West Indian chef named Duke Vaughn, worked with almost unbelievable efficiency in the cramped quarters. Against the sound of the train clacking along, clickety, clackety, clickety, clackety, clickety, clackety, the waiters were jabbering the customers' orders. Oh, gotta turn the page. There we go. The cooks operated like machines, and 500 miles of dirty pots and dishes and silverware rattled back to me. Then on the overnight layover, I naturally went sightseeing in downtown D.C. I was astounded to find in the nation's capital, just a few blocks from Capitol Hill, thousands of Negroes living worse than I'd ever seen in the poorest sections of Roxbury, in dirt floor shacks along unspeakably filthy lanes. Where was it at? With names like Pig Alley and Goat Alley. I had seen a lot, but never such a dense concentration of stumble bums, pushers, hookers, public crap shooters, even little kids running around at midnight begging for pennies, half naked and barefooted. Some of the railroad cooks and waiters had told me to be very careful because muggings, knifings, and robberies went on every night among those Negroes. Just a few blocks from the White House, but I saw other Negroes better off. They lived in blocks of rundown red brick houses. The old colonial railroaders had told me about Washington having a lot of middle-class Negroes with Howard University degrees who were working as laborers, janitors, porters, guards, taxi drivers, and the like. For the Negro in D.C., mail carrying was a prestige job. You know that's right. After a few of the Washington runs, I snatched the chance. When one day personnel said I could temporarily replace the sandwich man on the Yankee Clipper to New York, I was into my zoot suit before the first passenger got off. The cooks took me up to Harlem in a cab. White New York passed by like a movie set. Then abruptly, when we left Central Park at the upper end at 110th Street, the people's complexion began to change. Busy 7th Avenue ran along in front of a place called Small's Paradise. The crew had told me before we left Boston that it was their favorite night spot in Harlem and not to miss it. No Negro place of business had ever impressed me so much. Around a big, luxurious-looking circular bar were 30 or 40 Negroes, mostly men, drinking and talking. I was hit first, I think, by their conservative clothes and manners. Wherever I'd seen as many as 10 Boston Negroes, let alone Lansing Negroes drinking, there'd been a big noise. But with all of these Harlemites drinking and talking, there was just a low murmur of sound. Customers came and went. The bartenders knew what most of them drank and automatically fixed it. A bottle was set on the bar before some. Every Negro I'd ever known had made a point of flashing whatever money he had, but these Harlem Negroes quietly laid a bill on the bar. They drank, they nonchalantly nodded to the bartender to pour a drink for some friend, while the bartenders, smooth as any of the customers, kept making change from the money on the bar. Their manners seemed natural. They were not putting on any airs. I was in awe. Within the first 5 minutes in Smalls, I had left Boston and Roxbury forever. Do you hear me? I didn't yet know that these weren't what you might call everyday or average Harlem Negroes. Later on, even later that night, I would find out that Harlem contained hundreds of thousands of my people who were just as loud and gaudy as Negroes anywhere else. But these were the cream of the older, more mature operators in Harlem. The day's numbers business was done. The night's gambling and other forms of hustling hadn't yet begun. The usual nightlife crowd who worked on regular jobs all day were at home eating their dinners. The hustlers at this time were in the daily 6 o'clock congregation, their favorite bars all over Harlem, largely to themselves. And we end right about there. So Malcolm he doesn't make it to the depths of despair that we know that he finally reached when he ended up in prison. But you can tell Malcolm is on his way. He's still experiencing new things every single day. And at this point, we're sad to say that we have to end this little affair with Malcolm and move on, because we've got other territory to cover, other things to talk about, other people to introduce you to if you haven't been introduced to them already. We've gotten some thank you notes from some people that appreciated some of our previous stories on Only Judge, like Brother Eric Beasley, former classmate of mine. We would love to see thank you notes from other people and just comments about what you think about our stories. If you like them, you hate them, you love them, whatever it is. We'd like to get some feedback. Feedback is always good. It helps to guide us and direct us as to what we might want to do or present next, because we've got stories here from all over the world of black people as kings, queens. We got black people as emperors. We got black inventors. We haven't even touched on any black inventors yet, but we will. So make sure to continue tuning in on a regular basis. We're still doing our presentations, 2 a day. Doc Ock at noon and 9. That's me. Look for us. We're here every day, twice a day. Well, on weekends, we only show up in the evenings, but at noon, we always have special video presentations. We have a playlist. And last month, our playlist was Malcolm X Speaks. If you haven't checked it out yet, go ahead and check it out now. There's a total of almost 100 videos on there, both long and short, by men and women. Primarily, there are a lot of videos in there where you can actually hear Malcolm speak for himself, but we also have interviews with other people about Malcolm, people that knew Malcolm and loved him and were very close to Malcolm. So if you want to learn something, we got a place for you to come. If you want to earn something, we got some things for you to do. And right now, what we'd like you all to do, besides giving us a like if you're looking on Facebook, or a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, is to go ahead and become a regular, sustaining member of the Black Facts family. Easy to do. It's easy as pie. You got all kind of ways. All you got to do is just open your eye. If you're looking on your phone, on Facebook, just go ahead, open up the notifications on Facebook, and you'll see notifications there where you can make a donation. If you're looking on YouTube, go ahead and go to the description, click the link at the bottom of the description. That takes you to our website. You can make a donation there at the top of the page. Click the link. If you're looking at us on Facebook on your computer, go ahead and look in the description area. No, go below the live stream, and you'll see down there a link that will also take you to a donation page. So we got all kinds of ways to donate. We're looking for $5 a month. If we could get 1,000 people to donate $5 a month, from now to the end of the year, that would put us in the black. And where else do you think we want to be but in the black? Obviously, because we black on black, in black, around black, being black. That's just who we are. Well, this is the end of our presentation for today. Peace out without a doubt, with justice for show, because anything less than that disgusts us. Peace without justice disgusts us. All right, now, we'll check y'all tonight at 9.